Hey Nintendo fanboys and fangirls, it's the great sage BWA here with you again, and I'm bringing you episode or part number 4 of, had to check that mic, double check, triple check, part 4 of the 7-day Candid video challenge. Yay! So I think I said yesterday we're officially halfway through, but I guess today 10 minutes in would technically be halfway through. So we're almost there, and you guys have been with me the whole time, and I appreciate that. So once again, I would just like to say thanks for all your support, all the likes and subscribes that I've gotten during this, the comments. All that means a lot to me, and it helps me think about what I'm going to say on the next episode or part. And so yeah, once again, I really appreciate it. I hope everybody's doing well. I haven't done a whole lot since I recorded yesterday. It's just been kind of a typical day. Just ate, got some work done, did some studying, got up early this morning, walked, and then modded a stream for a friend and played some games during that. And now here I am again. So it's been good. I like it when things aren't crazy, so it's been what I've expected. So yeah, I guess that's all you guys need as far as an update goes. I think what I'm gonna talk about today is go back into the psychology of Legend of Zelda, because that was getting really good and I was getting into it, and then my time was up. So I have plenty of notes to go over, so I think I'll do that. And I want to say it's a little bit embarrassing, but when I was telling you guys about Freud and the ego and id thing, I think I was explaining the concept correctly, but I think I may have mixed up a couple of the terms in there. So today I brought it up on Wikipedia, so I'm going to go over that just a little bit again. Not in too much detail, but just so you guys aren't going around saying, well, BWA said it was this, so why is this other person telling me that's not what it is? So yeah, I'll go ahead and clear that up. We're talking about ego, superego, and id by Sigmund Freud, a very popular psychologist. And I think what I confused was when I was talking about the personality structure that represents like human basic needs. I think I described it a little bit more as like what you wanted to do as compared to what people in your culture would want you to do. Actually, id is what I was just saying, that a human's basic needs and instincts, basically. You'll see this in animals. They just basically, like squirrels will know that they need to store up nuts before winter and things like that. So that's what id is. It's like your primal urges, like being hungry and knowing you need to stay out of the extreme heat and cold, which that kind of ties into Legend or Breath of the Wild itself, how they have the temperature in it, and you will get hurt and take damage if you're not wearing your proper clothes in the right temperatures. So that's kind of interesting. I haven't really seen that all that often in video games. But yeah, that's a few little examples of what it is without getting too deep into it. And then ego, on the other hand, this is a big long paragraph, so I'm trying to scan over it really quickly and make it simple. Okay, so a quote from Freud is that the ego attempts to mediate between id and reality. So it's often obliged to cloak unconscious commands of the id with its own preconscious rationalizations to conceal the id's conflicts with reality. So basically, okay, so it says the ego is the organized part of personality structure that includes defensive, perceptual, intellectual, cognitive, and executive functions. So basically what it is the way we interpret reality and how well we're meeting our basic needs, I suppose. So it says originally Freud used the word ego to mean a sense of self, but later revised it to mean a set of psychic functions such as judgment, tolerance, reality testing, control, planning, defense, synthesis of information, intellectual functioning, and memory. So a lot of it is like what you would consider, or what people would consider to be one's personality, as opposed to those basic needs that we all have to eat, sleep, have like a clean surroundings and things like that. So yeah, as compared to ego, which is more individualized. For it, I guess humans would share certain like defense mechanisms. So part of it we all do share, but it is a little more individualized than id. And then one I did not talk about yesterday, the third one, is superego. And that, I did explain the concept correctly, but I just didn't have the correct name to go with it. Superego is the internalization of cultural rules, and it's mainly taught by parents applying guidance and influence, but it could also come from other places in culture, movies, video games, things like that. So yeah, superego it's basically like a collective version of ego. It's like all of us together, what we decide, the way we decide to interpret reality. So yeah, the superego aims for perfection. It forms organized part of personality structure, mainly but not entirely unconscious, and it includes an individual's ego, ideals, spiritual goals, and psychic agency, commonly called conscience, that criticizes and prohibits, drives fantasies, feelings, and actions. So yeah, I think that's enough on that. I know that kind of went into a little bit of jargon, but it's on Wikipedia. It's, superego, id, and ego, if you want to look more into that. But yeah, how it ties into psychology of Legend of Zelda. Like I was saying yesterday, it's what it's Zelda's quest and what she wants to do versus what her dad wants her to do. And I think what she wanted to do was research Guardians, if I'm not mistaken, without being too spoilery. And then, of course, her dad wants her to be, like, the perfect princess. That's this good example for the whole kingdom. So, a little bit of a rift in between what she wants and what her dad wants. And then, we were talking about Jung. I did bring up a few examples because I know I didn't go too far into examples of archetypes. So I did bring up a list of archetypes, and I will read them off and say what each archetype, like what their, I guess, gift would be within society. So yeah, this picture I've got, I should probably, it's by this website called BWA Group. Yeah, briogroup.com.au, just so I'm not like plagiarizing or anything. But this is by Carl Jung, so it's like basically common knowledge. There's my cat who was under the bed. But yeah, we've got the ruler, and the ruler's gift is exerting control. And here comes Geppetto. Then we have the creator. Come over here. The creator's gift is to craft something new. And then we have the sage, whose gift is understanding their world. We have the innocent, who I can't read because I'm kind of blind. Oh, the innocent gift is to retain or renew faith. I like that. The explorer's gift is to maintain independence. The rebel gift is to break the rules. The hero's gift is to act courageously. The wizard's gift is to affect transformation. Jester's gift is to have a good time. And then we have the regular guy or gal, and their gift is to be okay just as they are. We have the lover, whose gift is to find and give love. And then the caregiver, whose gift is to care for others. So you'll find probably a bit of variation depending on what source you go to, but those are examples of the main archetypes. And you'll find that most characters in good fiction, whether it be video games, movies, TV shows, books, a lot of them will fall into one of these categories. So it's interesting to take a look at what they are, maybe even read a little more about them. If one in particular stuck out to you, if you feel like maybe that's what you are and that's what your gift is in the world, you might want to read a little bit about that if you have the time, a little bit about that specific archetype. And if one did ring true for you, let me know in the comments, because I'd be really interested in knowing what you guys think you are. So yeah, that's what I'll say about archetypes. Next, let me see, go over my notes again. I have some notes about Bandura, and he's a developmental psychologist. Wasn't really my forte when I was going to school. I took one class of developmental, and it was probably 10 years ago. But he had the theory of social learning, that we learn a lot from our culture and watching the people around us, our parents, our older siblings. And imitation and modeling is a big deal. And I thought that was interesting because a lot of us these days do watch Let's Plays, so we do learn a lot about video games from watching others play them. More so, I would say, than in the past when we just watch like a family member or friend play, like physically when they're with us. And then I have a quote, I think, I'm not really sure where this quote came from, because like I said, I wrote this like 6 to 9 months ago, more like 9 months, a year ago, probably even more, because this is probably when Breath of the Wild came out. But it says, learning would be exceedingly laborious, not to mention hazardous, if people had to rely solely on the effects of their own actions to inform them what to do. And it's funny because when I watch Let's Plays, I'll usually go ahead and either watch at the same time or watch the episode before like I'm going through and doing what I'm gonna do, so that if someone gets killed in the Let's Play painfully, then I know not to do that exact same thing. So yeah, it's kind of like in real life. You watch other people's mistakes and see what they do, and then you're like, well, I'm not going to do that because it'll probably turn out the same way for me unless I do it slightly differently. So yeah, and then I put, it sounds a bit like it's dangerous to go alone. Here, take this, right? So, and then I also wrote, this is something I added in just when I was going over these notes the other day, that in our society, it's, to me, where I am, it may be different where you are in the world, but it's almost like we're programmed in society to ignore like these ancient wisdom things like archetypes and the zodiac and tarot. Like where in my culture where I come from, it's kind of frowned upon all of this, that it's either too deep or it's fake or it's silly, it's crazy, it's evil even, sometimes people will say. So I just found that interesting, like where did we go from it being like a source of wisdom to it being crazy, and why? Like really, that's what I want to know. And then I want to know if it's gonna ever swing back the other way. Because right now we all seem to be really into these scientific, like, factual, experimental methods where you have to, like, see the results every single time for something to be true. And I don't know where we got that from. And it's good to an extent, because, like, curing cancer, of course, we need specific scientific experiments and methods. But in other things where the results are not always like gonna be the exact 100% same thing, I don't know where that came in. I'm kind of rambling, I know, on that. I'm not being as articulate as I would like to be on that, but I hope you guys can see where I'm coming from with that point of view. And I guess that's another one of the things that got me searching into these types of answers, or places to get answers. And yeah, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna move on. We also have Carl Rogers. He is more of a therapist, I would say, like a teacher of therapy than straight up psychology, and there is a slight difference. in that. I'm not going to go into it because it's really in depth, so you just need to know he was a teacher of therapy methods. He's most famous for something called unconditional positive regard, which is basically kind of like unconditional love, if you're familiar with that concept. The concept that even if you have like a friend or a family member that messes up sometimes or doesn't always act in their own best interest or in the best interest of the people around them, you're still going to love them because you know that they're worthy of that love and that they have something in them that's a good reason to give them unconditional love, I suppose. But yeah, that's what unconditional positive regard is. Also maximum human potential. Again, almost the same concept, but just a little bit of a different spin on it. That even if someone's not living up to their potential right now, that you know they have that potential within them and they just need certain experiences or resources or whatever, the encouragement, whatever, to reach that maximum human potential. And then I wrote down that I would reflect on what Zelda says. I suppose this is a quote from the game. Again, it's been like a year. But she says, "You feel split into two halves. One half wants to research Guardians, and the other wants to prevail in the duty the kingdom has always told you was yours." And another thing Rogers was known for was that he asserted that people's self-concepts determine their behavior and their relationships with others. So how you think of other people will more or less affect how they think of themselves. And yeah, I know people always say you shouldn't care what other people think, but when people are treating you the same way, like for a very long time, it's hard to have a different self-concept from what the people around you think of you as. And it's of course what am I even trying to say? Possible. I knew it was a P word. That was weird. I haven't had that happen in a while. It's possible to have your own different self-concept from the people around you. But that's, again, like I was saying yesterday, why it's so important to have people surrounding you that have your best interests at heart and that see you as the way that you see yourself and see you in your, like I was saying with Rogers still, your maximum human potential. That even if you haven't reached that destination yet, that you have that potential within you, and those people will always be there to encourage you and see you as that person instead of the, like I was saying with Freud, the id, that they just see you as like the sum of your like human needs for being hungry and just like basically reptile type animalistic needs. They see you as more than that. So that's what I had on Rogers, and it looks like we're gonna have to keep going with this more. I guess we have like a minute and a half, so before I wrap up, I will talk about the next person. Is Erik Erikson. And he had this thing called the stages of development. And it's basically like a struggle that every person goes through at a specific time in their life. And it's usually around the same time for every person. Varies a little bit, but not too much. So I'll go into that a little bit more tomorrow. I'll put like a star here so I know where I left off. But yeah, maybe went a little bit more in depth than I maybe should have. You guys let me know. I know a couple of you are saying it was a little bit over your head, but I think the more I talk about it, the more sense it will make, and the more all of these things will start tying back into each other, and then you'll start seeing patterns in different places you look, like I was saying, in books, movies, video games. It all comes up again and again. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I guess that's all there is for today. Once again, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, subscribing, liking, all of that. Be sure to go ahead and do so if you have not already. If you're interested in coming back again and seeing more, I'd really appreciate it. And I think that about wraps it up. So, Until next time, you Nintendo fanboys and fangirls have a great rest of the day. Bye!